Part 111. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1101. The return gift from the Li family was delivered to Xiaoming's home by a special person around the evening of September 13, after the main game was suspended. It was a flower fruit with a completeness of about 30%. This is a superhuman devil fruit, and the price is higher than that of the natural one. The practicality of the flower fruit is relatively strong, but the power is hard to say. It all depends on the ability of the user. It is not easy to control so many limbs. It requires the ability user to have a strong mental power and excellent multitasking skills. Nico Robin in the original One Piece is probably gifted. Hundreds of arms can work well together. But for the reincarnation, this technology is difficult to achieve. It is easy to use but not strong, and this feature makes the price of the flower fruit not particularly high. The return gift of the Li family with such a fruit is actually a little more. This is the case with a large and impressive family. When giving gifts, they would rather give a little more than haggle. If someone says they are stingy, it will be embarrassing. Moreover, the Li family knew that Zhang Xiaoming's sister Lu Xiaojing had already taken the flower fruit, so this was the icing on the cake, and it was very face-saving. The Li family had been preparing for this thing for a long time, and planned to use it to trade with Xiaoming at a suitable time. This time, Miss Nine Li Songrui owed Xiaoming a great favor, and it was the right time to take out this fruit. The Li family's plan was very good. With Xiaojing Er's fruit completeness, it was still a long way from reaching 100%. In the future, the Li family will continue to purchase flower fruits, and they can always get closer to Xiaoming. Flattering the sister is more effective than flattering the leader. It's just that they don't know Xiaoming's ability. After strengthening with 3 layers of source energy, the completeness of the flower fruit reached about 70%. There was no need to wait for the 4th layer of source energy for this. Xiaoming directly sent it to his sister to eat. The original completeness was 61.8%, and after adding this 70%, Xiaojing Er's fruit completeness rushed to 83.41%. Xiaoming felt that he was not very good at this question. Anyway, the reincarnation space is set up like this, so we didn't withdraw. The flower fruit with a completeness of more than 80% is already quite powerful. What's more, the Li family will continue to provide it in the future, and it's only a matter of time to reach 100%. Unfortunately, Xiaoming has never met Nico Robin, nor has he seen a reincarnator who uses the power of the flower fruit to fight. He doesn't know how to develop the power of this fruit. However, he is still very confident in his sister's intelligence. I believe that Xiaojing will definitely be able to develop good abilities. If it doesn't work well, I will find a way to change another fruit later. Xiaoming is also inflated now. The power of the devil fruit is not easy to eliminate, but Xiaoming thinks that it will not be a problem in time. This cognition is also correct. In these few hours, Xiaoming's Qi Yaoying clone who stayed in Lanzhou made a special trip to Wushan town in the image of an explorer and returned to the old house that the Huo's Chamber of Commerce had given him before. Now this house is occupied by Lu Xiaomei. There are also several villagers from Biang village. They are well taken care of by the Huo's Chamber of Commerce. Lu Xiaomei's parents wanted to move in and live here for a long time. However, Lu Xiaomei was shy and felt embarrassed to take advantage of the explorer brother, so she gritted her teeth and refused to agree. Liu's parents scolded Lu Xiaomei as a silly girl, but they couldn't persuade their daughter. When the shadow clone saw her outside the window, she was reading the letter that Huo's Chamber of Commerce had forwarded to the explorer. The girl's tears fell down, and the girl was really made of water. Xiaoming's clone really didn't know how to deal with a crying girl, so he simply waited for Lu Xiaomei to fall asleep and left a letter and some jewelry from the Sea tribe on her pillow. When he left, he released dozens of parasites in the house to protect Lu Xiaomei. After leaving the old house, the Qiyao shadow clone went to meet Huo Yingying, the shopkeeper, and Huo Yingda, the captain of the first guard team in Wushan town. The three of them ate and talked until late at night. After that, this clone was stationed in the Wushan town branch of Huo's Chamber of Commerce. With the Huo's Chamber of Commerce as a cover, it's still safe. This little girl likes you very much, don't you want to consider it? This is what Eva, who was wearing a reporter's uniform, said to Xiaoming outside the window. The clone rolled her eyes at her and didn't answer. Who would have thought that goddess Eva would be so gossipy? She now replaces Xiaoming's mind beast reporter, and can appear not only in the real world, but also in the game. Moreover, Eva uses her own energy when she appears, so there is no limit on the number. Since she followed Xiaoming out of the small world, she has been playing like crazy. In reality, in the game, there are at least hundreds of reporter mind beasts moving around at the same time. In principle, Xiaoming's mind beast cannot be too far away from several main bodies. But this distance limit seems to be non-existent for Eva. Xiaoming has no idea where she has gone. Later, Xiaoming couldn't help asking. The goddess's answer was that as long as it is within a light-year range with any of Xiaoming's bodies as the center, it is not far. I bought the watch last year. It's really depressing, isn't it? Eva is indeed a goddess, even if she is just a clone, her ability is so powerful. Forget it, I won't talk about her, it makes me cry. Maybe because of helping others, the researcher's luck suddenly improved. After leaving Qinghai Lake, Xiaoming found a deserted place and used the time and space jump skill directly. This jump landed him on the sea again. The researcher released chakra with both feet and stood steadily on the sea. Xiaoming can actually do a lot of tricks, even flying. This time he used ninjutsu just because he was in the mood. He looked east and west, and there was only the blue sea, nothing, not even a ship. It seemed meaningless. Just when he wanted to leave, he suddenly had an idea. There was a vague black dot in the distance, which aroused Xiaoming's mood. There should be something over there. With a teleportation, Xiaoming came to the front of the black dot. It turned out to be a huge black reef group. The largest reef left from it, which could easily accommodate a large warship to pass through. It was pitch black inside. However, from the gap between the reefs, Xiaoming felt something very familiar, the breath of death. And he could also feel the existence of the barrier. This should be a seal. The sealed thing inside is probably some kind of undead. It looks eerie and terrifying. Are you kidding? Is he afraid of undead? Xiaoming couldn't help but rub his hands, the good stuff inside, wait for me to collect it. Of course, just in case, the wretched Xiaoming would not go in by himself. He shook his body and released dozens of parasites. They vibrated their tiny wings and flew towards the crack like a group of flies. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1102. Xiaoming's parasites are too inconspicuous, especially in an environment like the sea, where a few small black dots will not be noticed at all. However, each parasite carries Xiaoming's various supernatural energies, but the amount is very small. The barrier here allows entry but not exit, and does not prevent parasites from flying in. However, it is the visit of these small parasites that has brought huge changes to this place. Countless souls trapped in this cursed land in the Sea of Death, when they come into contact with Xiaoming's spiritual power, they feel like they are called by God. Thousands of strange undead spirits swarmed and rushed towards the parasites, scaring Xiaoming. These undead spirits look very strange, all of them are incomplete human images. Although their bodies are incomplete, even with only a few small pieces of their bodies, they can still move freely. It's as if there is actually a complete person, but except for these few pieces of the body, everything else is transparent, which is amazing. Xiaoming thought they were the guards of this place, and they were very sensitive. Even the invasion of small insects would be completely eliminated. But it was not the case. When these undead spirits approached to a certain extent, their souls left their bodies and entered Xiaoming's spiritual world, and the remaining broken bodies turned into ashes in an instant. Catching shrimp households, such a strong sense of déjà vu. When I passed the secret realm of a Chinese ghost story 2 days ago, it was the same when I was saving those female ghosts. Xiaoming understood immediately. These are not normal undead soldiers in the main game. Normal undead soldiers will not be directly saved because of contact with Xiaoming's spiritual power. Because in theory, normal undead soldiers are undead created by guys like necromancers after the consent of the god of death. The magic or skills of the salvation type will cause greater damage to them, but the undead soldiers will not dissipate so easily. This group of undead here is not like this. They became this kind of strange undead because their souls were cursed after death and were cut off from the connection with the god of death. As a ghost messenger, Xiaoming is the nemesis of this type of NPC, and of course, he can also be regarded as a savior. You can understand it in any way. In addition, this is not a unique ability of ghost messengers. High-level priests, necromancers, Taoist priests, and monks can all save this type of NPC. However, the premise is that the player has trained the level high enough. At the current level of less than 4th level, it is definitely powerless. Xiaoming's spiritual world is just a transit station for these souls. They basically didn't stay for long, using Xiaoming's spiritual world as a springboard and turned around and directly plunged into the underworld in the game. In the end, in this dark sea, there was only a strange big ship and a strange undead on the ship. First of all, the ship is really weird. It has no bottom. It looks like a big centipede, with 2 rows of legs wrapped under the body, which is considered a ship. No matter how much water it leaks. Moreover, this ship is not just a ship, it is already a living thing. It's just that its soul was created later and is not dead yet. So he didn't react to the ghost. To be precise, he should be regarded as the captain's pet. And the captain of this ship is that strange undead. Maybe it's because of the deep curse, or maybe it's because of the strong personal obsession. The captain's body is almost intact, but there are some cracks on his face, and his black hair is always flowing. The clothes he wears vaguely look like military uniforms. Before his death, he was probably a naval general of a certain country. This ship used to be a warship. Only his soul, with strong resentment, is determined not to join the underworld. There he shouted loudly. "Who on earth robbed the crew of my Silent Mary? Come out, you damn pirates, let the great Captain Selati kill you dash." Xiaoming confirmed that this guy who called himself Captain Selati was probably a little brain-dead. How could someone who could take away souls be a pirate? Either he really couldn't tell who was the enemy, or he had a strong hostility towards pirates. Anyone who opposed him was a pirate in his eyes. This guy should be at level 6B, but his mental power is only level 4, which doesn't seem to be very strong. Xiaoming thought about it and didn't dare to use Tsukuyomi to deal with him. In his situation, there might be a great god behind him. If he casually pulled him into his spiritual world, it might not cause any trouble. Since he felt the power of the ancient giant octopus, Xiaoming dared not underestimate the high-end existence in the game. He was a guy above level but not S level, just starting out. He took away all the souls here, leaving only the Silent Mary and Captain Salicha. Xiaoming didn't want to let them go. One reason was that the life energy of Captain Salicha was too violent, and he was not a good thing. Many of the undead he took away were killed by Salicha and his gang after they strayed into this place. If someone comes in again in the future, he may suffer from his poisonous hands. Xiaoming plans to try to see if he can deal with him remotely. Anyway, the researcher will not enter this barrier anyway. This salad tea is not a problem, the level 6 guy can handle it by himself. Xiaoming is afraid that he will not be able to get out. He dispersed all the parasites and surrounded the Salad Tea and the Bloody Mary. A teleportation aperture can be opened near each insect. Whenever an aperture is opened, he would use Taoist magic to save the dead from a distance, or use Bing Xinju. Occasionally, he would also use healing magic, and light magic such as the Great Light Ball. The damage to Suleika and his men was not low. Then he would quickly close the aperture, go to another location to open a new aperture, and throw out the next wave of attack skills. He would shoot and move to another location. These skills are actually not the abilities of the researcher, but the skills that Xiao Ming has mastered, and any character can use them. Suleika was not a pushover either. After being beaten several times, he discovered the pattern. Whenever a small golden aperture appeared, an attack came from the aperture, but how could he deal with a short-handed melee? Suleika waved her hand, and the figurehead of the Silent Mary, a wooden sculpture of a female warrior, came to life and broke free from the hull. She threw the spear in her hand towards the aperture, and Xiao Ming closed the aperture in time, and the spear flew away. The female warrior's statue was not discouraged. She picked up rocks one by one and threw them again when she saw the aperture open. She was very strong, but her accuracy was average. The one holding the spear was obviously a melee soldier, and the ranged one was not accurate. With good luck, she could throw a rock through the aperture and crash it into the researcher's mental shield, which posed no threat at all. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1103. The combined combat power of Suleika and Silent Mary was still no match for Xiao Ming. Although Xiao Ming never dared to rush in for close combat, he still won. It just took a long time to grind with them. 50 minutes after the battle began, Xiao Ming used the skill moon shooting arrow in Insect General Star Record to blow up the statue of the female warrior with one arrow. Another 130 minutes later, under the multiple attacks of the moon shooting arrow, the two-handed machine gun, and various magic arts, Suleika's breath of death was almost exhausted. Even in this cursed area, they have a faster recovery speed. They can't withstand Xiao Ming's fierce long-range attack. Suleika has given up and simply lies down and waits for death. He would rather be completely destroyed than lose his honor. At this time, Silver Xiao Ming had an idea, and Green Xiao Ming urgently went online, possessed the dead, held the death silver coin, passed through the teleportation aperture, and appeared next to the researcher. Hey, the death coin is really big. It's worth it that Xiao Ming used source energy to strengthen it 3 times. The moment Suleika saw the silver coin, he immediately bowed his head to express his willingness to surrender. The system also gave a prompt. Congratulations to the players, researcher, and teller of the dead, for completing the hidden task The Secret of the Devil's Triangle. You will get a certain amount of adventure experience and a certain amount of gold coins respectively. Humph, Xiao Ming snorted proudly. He had guessed it a long time ago. When he encountered such a difficult opponent, Xiao Ming guessed that this was a hidden task. The original setting of the system should not allow players to get this done so early. I have found a loophole again. The Silent Mary and Suleika were trapped in the Devil's Triangle, which is this huge black reef community. This situation reminded Xiao Ming of one thing, that is, the Flying Dutchman and David Diozzi, who were sealed in the bottle. Their situations are very similar, both of them are powerful beings that have been sealed. Xiao Ming guessed that when the average level of the players is upgraded to a certain level, the system will use some method to remove the seals of many powerful people, including these two. Release them and torment the players. In the name of improving the fun of the game. Of course, the player is likely to receive related unsealing tasks. The results of the tasks vary according to the performance of the players. If the player fails completely, it is really hard to say what the outcome will be, and there may not be much loss. If successful, 80% of them will gain the favorability of David Diozi or Selati, but two powerful maritime forces will also be released. It is estimated that the difficulty of subduing them will be particularly high, because the system will not easily let them become the player's subordinates. Unless a miracle happens. And Xiaoming happens to be the one who can create miracles. At the beginning, Xiaoming used the diver to subdue David Diozi and the Flying Dutchman, relying on the early acquisition of David's heart. This time, the subjugation of Selati and Silent Mary depends on hard power. In addition, the identity of the Ghost Messenger and the Death Silver Coin provided considerable help. If there is no Ghost Messenger, then thousands of undead can eliminate all parasites. Xiaoming can't use his skills. If there is no Death Silver Coin, then there is nothing to say. Salicha will never surrender. It can be seen that the Death Silver Coin has made great contributions. So Salicha and Silent Mary actually surrendered to the dead. They did not follow the researcher. The hidden task of the Secret of the Devil's Triangle was originally to wait until the average player is 4-5 levels, and the system will issue the task to the player guild. Only the guilds that perform well have the opportunity to obtain it. Xiaoming now solves it with only 2 characters. Many of the rewarded experience are wasted because of overflow. The adventure level of the researcher and the dead reporter has been upgraded by 5 levels each. The monetary reward is many times higher than usual, and a total of 5 million gold coins were given. For Xiaoming, 5 million is not a small amount of money. Xiaoming earns a lot, but his expenses are also quite large. Xiaoming himself is not sure how much money he has. It must be hundreds of millions of gold coins. The mission reward gave so much money, on the one hand because the experience reward overflowed too much, and part of it was converted into gold coins. On the other hand, it was also because of the opponent of this mission. In the Caribbean area, both pirate navies are polarized. Most are poor, while a few forces are rich. Because the undead pirates of Selati are trapped in the Devil's Triangle and can't get out, they can't spend the accumulated wealth at all. And it's getting more and more. In the end, it all fell into Xiaoming's hands. The system's intention was originally reasonable. This money was intended to be a reward for the guild that completed the mission. The guild that can complete this mission must be a powerful guild. Millions of gold coins are distributed to each member, which is actually not much. After deducting the consumption, it is just a small profit. Who would have thought that they would encounter such a BT existence as Xiaoming? According to the system rules, the 6th level Selati and the legendary battleship Silent Mary should become the spoils of the dead. And because the average level of the main players in the main game is not high, their strength will be temporarily sealed by the system. Join the dead with a lower combat power. However, Xiaoming has a very powerful Universal Treasure Level 3 Summoning Cube, which can be used to gather high-level subordinates. So the system arranged for Salati and Silent Mary to occupy the 6th grid of the cube together. It has to be said that the move of the nine-tailed fox was really too bad. Even if Saleka was sealed, he was still a purple strategic hero and a general who could stand alone. He drove the Silent Mary and could become a powerful naval force for the dead reporter. It was of great help to the development of the strategic map. But it was different when they entered the summoning cube. They became powerful soldiers and could no longer serve as heroes or generals. Even if they were not sealed, they lost their greatest use. Everyone knows that Xiaoming doesn't need 1 or 2 level 6 soldiers, okay. It's really infuriating. But the system won't reason with Xiaoming. People have already done this, and Xiaoming has nowhere to go. Fortunately, Xiaoming is not unlucky everywhere. The strategic level of the dead reporter was upgraded to level 2 because of this mission. Some of the overflow of experience rewards filled this pit. Free attribute add 2, Xiaoming added to strategic knowledge, command limit add 110, action limit add 110, controllable number of troops add 1. In addition, after the upgrade, choose one of the 3 racial talents. Xiaoming chose to upgrade the racial talent of the deceased's primary skeleton troop's specialization to the intermediate level. Talent ability: the hero's skeleton troops have attack add 7, defense add 7, life add 7, damage add 3, speed add 3. Generally, when the strategic level is upgraded to level 2, the original talents are rarely upgraded, and new talents are given to players to choose from. The deceased's option to upgrade the original talent is a benefit brought by completing the hidden task. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1104. The strategic level of the accuser was already at the maximum level 2 when it was controlled by the intelligent program Xiao Wu'er. It was just because the accuser was defeated by the player later. According to the game settings, the level would not drop, but it owed the system a lot of experience. It was only recently that it was slowly replenished. Some people may ask, shouldn't the battle at Xiaohuotang Water Fort have given a lot of strategic experience? Let me explain here that the battle was a special plot. At the beginning, it was a battle between the ninja troops under Sarutobi Suzuki and several player guilds, which had nothing to do with the accuser. Later, the accuser's troops did not fight with the Koga ninja army, but directly overwhelmed the other side. So Sarutobi Suzuki's surrender with his troops was already a great reward. In terms of strategic experience, only a little bit was given. Now the strategic experience can be replenished, all thanks to Xiao Wu'er's activities in the later period. Killing wild monsters, doing tasks, and so on. With the full level of experience as a foundation, this hidden task can directly raise the strategic level of the accuser to level 2. Green Xiaoming operated the dead, opened the transmission aperture and returned to the army on the strategic map. After playing for a while, he returned to the private world to continue to receive the guidance of Huanhai and prepare for the Dark Martial Arts Conference. Under the control of Yin Xiaoming, the researcher finished the salad tea, looked at the vast sea around him, and was not sure where he was. So he released his mental power to scan and found that this was actually a strategic map, and it was located in the core area of the legendary Bermuda Triangle. The main game arranged the cursed Land Devil's Triangle here. Its creator probably borrowed from the legend of the Bermuda Triangle. This location is very good, much better than the deep jungle of South America. The researcher threw a small boat, jumped on it, and sailed to the west. It was late at night. The researcher saw the island and village around noon the next day, which was around 11 a.m. on September 14th. From the location, this is Nassau, the capital of the Bahamas in the parallel world, but in the game, it is still just a small fishing village. The map is only level 1. The village doesn't even have a tavern, let alone barracks, walls, or blacksmith shops. There are only about 30 human fishermen living there. There is no political affiliation. On Pangustar, the islands in this area are all the territory of the New Sui Kingdom among the Chinese countries. The territory of the New Sui includes the Bahamas, Cuba, Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, etc. in the parallel world. Although the Yang family, who founded the Sui Kingdom, was not listed as one of the 12 kings of the Qin dynasty, it has been the second most powerful family after the 12 kings since the post-Qin era. Strangely, the relationship between the Sui and Tang families is very good. They have to be neighbors when they establish a country. It stands to reason that the Sui dynasty was replaced by the Tang dynasty, so the two sides should have some conflicts. Who knew that there was none at all? At first, Xiaoming thought it was incredible, but after knowing some inside information, he thought it was okay. After all, the founders of these two families are actually time travelers, and they are not really descendants of the Sui and Tang dynasties. They just borrowed a name. Of course, there is no hatred between them. The situation of the researcher is a bit special now. His troops are still in East Asia, controlled by Li Huamei, fighting against the Ladeo family. Because of his special mission, he is now out for a stroll as an individual and does not have the right to capture cities. Otherwise, he could have captured this village. However, this special situation also has many advantages. If you march with a large army, you may not be able to pass through certain levels, cities, or even some wild monsters. But if you walk out as an individual, you can enter and pass through most places, which is also quite convenient. In this case, it is not easy for the researcher to gain strategic experience, and most of the tasks you get are adventure experience. This is probably the first time that outsiders have come to the small fishing village, and there are really a few small tasks to accept. Xiaoming was not polite and accepted the easier ones. Don't say, the tasks are quite interesting. There are 3 white ordinary tasks, one of which is to purchase fish and meat. The village has caught too many fish and can't eat them all. If there is a sucker willing to buy, that would be the best. Xiaoming spent 2 silver coins for this. In fact, the fish meat is not worth even 1 silver coin. Xiaoming gave more money to earn more favorability. The other 2 ordinary tasks are to help 2 fishermen repair their fishing nets. The researcher completed it easily with alchemy, and gained some copper coins and some seafood. 1 green difficult task is to help the fishing village buy other types of food. Vegetables and meat are fine. The village has been eating fish all year round, and they are really tired of it. Now they have obtained 2 silver coins from the researcher. This is a huge sum of money, and the village immediately wants to improve the food. So the 2 silver coins flowed back into the researcher's pocket, and the researcher took out various foods worth about 5 silver coins from Guangmingding and gave them to the villagers. In this way, the village's favorability towards the researcher is quite good, so a blue master level task emerged. There are only a few small canoes and defective fishing nets in the village, and going out to sea to fish is really useless. I hope players can help the village improve productivity. This was not a problem for Xiaoming at all. He directly took out a small boat and gave it to the fishing village. With this boat, the whole village was enough. The fishing village was grateful, and the villagers' favorability towards the researcher soared to over 50. If the village wasn't so poor, it wouldn't have gained so much favorability for such a small matter. Xiaoming was a little embarrassed. The fishing village had no way to repay the favor, so it sent a human girl named Hemprope to follow the researcher as a subordinate and guide. It is said that because this girl twisted Hemprope very well, she was called Hemprope. For the village where fishing nets are an important production tool, she is a very valuable talent. The researcher has done a great favor to the fishing village, so the village had to send the most useful NPC. Many people showed reluctance on their faces. These villagers are really simple. Xiaoming thought about it and it seemed useless to have an NPC who could twist Hemprope as a follower. So he discussed with the villagers and replaced the Hemprope girl with another spirited young man named Harpoon. The young man named Harpoon, as the name suggests, is the best young man in the village who uses harpoons. With good training, he has the potential to become a combat soldier. Seeing that there were no new missions, Xiaoming took his new follower, Harpoon, and walked to the southwest of the island, released a small boat, boarded the boat and continued sailing. The target was a place in his mind, Havana. According to various data analysis, Havana should be a well-known city at this time. Xiaoming was very interested in seeing it. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1105. After all, Havana is an emerging medium-sized city. The city's sanitation is very dirty, the social order is extremely chaotic, and the management situation is extremely poor. Xiaoming was used to seeing cities in the Ming and Song dynasties. When he saw a city like this, to be honest, he felt that it was not as orderly as a Chinese town. Jiadin in Southeast Asia is bad enough, Havana is on par with it. It's just that the area is larger. In fact, This city is relatively wealthy, but the various forces are so complicated that the pirate navy can't tell them apart. There is no force that truly has full control over the city, and no one regards this place as home, which results in this messy situation. Unlike the researchers, Harpoon, a countryman who came to the city for the first time, seemed very interested. He looked around and around, his eyes full of light. That's a lot of experience. Xiaoming curled his lips. This place is indeed a barbarian land. It really doesn't work. But it does not delay the researcher from buying anything. Sugar, tobacco, rum wine, and copper ore are all local specialties. Xiaoming thought for a while and handed over the researchers to the intelligent program mistress. They were better at buying and selling things. I switched to diver. At this time, the diver was ordered by Charlie Old Ice Cream to go shopping again. This kind of scientific researchers just don't take money seriously. They will try their best to defraud big money when they meet them. After defrauding one person, they will find another one. Old Ice Cream has asked divers to buy things for him several times before. There is almost no product that can be bought in Jiadin. Players must take a boat to a big city in Southeast Asia such as Malacca or Jakarta, and some merchants from Europe will sell them. And they are not commodities for bulk transactions, and they cost several times the price to buy. However, there are many characters and clones that cannot stand up to Xiaoming. Explorers can buy many products in Bianliang, Tokyo. The city of Ashes where the deceased is located in North Africa close to Europe and has a geographical advantage. Certain European goods will flow over. The two of them can basically meet Charlie's needs. If that doesn't work, Xiaoming arranges for Kiyao Shadow's clone in Japan, and he can also find European businessmen there to trade. Ordinary shadow clones do not have this authority. The divers don't need to set sail at all. They only need to go to the city's personal warehouse to get things back to Charlie. This time is no exception. The Stuff Explorer has already bought it and put it in his personal warehouse. The personal warehouses rented in the city are common between different characters of the same player. The divers here only need to take them out. As a result, the diver went out and took his things, but he had not yet walked back to Charlie's house. Suddenly, the system sent a message from the outside world. General Lu Ziu is looking for him, General Su Feng is looking for him, Hong Chao is also looking for him. Why did they all rush together? In fact, it didn't happen at the same time. How can it be that big? It's a coincidence that I wrote on the same day. Lu Ziu's information came the earliest, about 3 hours ago, Miao Qing came second, 44 minutes ago, only Hong Tide's information just arrived. According to Xiaoming's system settings, the information about the two generals will only appear in the mailbox, and there will be no sound or other prompts. Xiaoming is not a person who is willing to check his mailbox frequently, so when he received the message, he was busy with other things and did not pay attention. However, there is a sound prompt for Sister Hong Chao's information. Only then did Xiaoming see the information of the two generals. Although they were all looking for Xiaoming, the person they thought was not the same person. The only person the Red Tide is looking for is Zhang Xiaoming himself. The two generals were looking for the twin brothers who possessed Xiaoming and Zhang Xiaoliang. This was invented by Xiaoming to deceive the military. It was only because the nine-tailed fox had tampered with it that the information was sent to Xiaoming without being traced by the military. Major General Lu Ziu naturally wanted to study the matter of attracting light spirits. Xiaoming was not interested in being studied for the time being. Major General Miao Qing was preparing to take people out on an adventure. He came to Xiaoming because he wanted Xiaoming to guard the Xiaopei base for him. If Xiaoming were asked to go on an adventure together, he might still be interested. It's boring to let yourself be a coolie looking after the house. Xiaoming decisively passed. Besides, Lu Xiaoming had already skipped Master Huanhai's class for a while, so it wouldn't be good to skip class again now. Just ignore it. Only Sister Hong Cheo's message must be responded to. My sister said that Mogyatang wanted to meet Zhang Xiaoming. This thing is rather strange. There was a small conflict between myself and Mogyatang. The two parties were not friends. How could they suddenly make such a suggestion? Xiaoming didn't know why, so he quietly communicated with Sister Hong Chao mentally. The red tide is not clear either. After all, it was impossible for Mushroom Hall to tell her his true intentions, so she could only help introduce him. But Hong Tide assured that it was safe to meet at the hive, and they were not worried about any tricks they would play. The various defenses of League of Legends Northern Headquarters are still quite strong. In fact, even without any defense, a powerful force like Mushroom Hall would not dare to cause trouble at will. The League of Legends is not something that just Mogyatang can provoke. Xiaoming is also an expert and bold person, and now ordinary power is no longer a threat to him. But it doesn't mean that he thinks he is invincible. The main reason is that the soul of Hong Xiaoming lives in the underworld/soul gem. No matter how great the danger is, Hong Xiaoming will not be harmed. As long as one soul is safe, the various sources of energy representing Xiaoming will still be there. Even if all the bodies were destroyed and the other three souls were killed, you can still turn the tables. Reshape the soul and body, and you can continue to play. It is not convenient to use the teleportation aperture for this kind of thing. Xiaoming rode the hero car and arrived at the hive in no time. The staff led Xiaoming to a meeting room. As soon as he stepped into the room, Xiaoming was stunned. There were actually quite a few people in the room. In addition to Hong Chao, they were divided into 3 groups, and each group had a familiar face. They were Do Kunfang, Datang Zhaoyun, and the tall and thin man from Mushroom Hall. When they met in Tokyo, the two sides did not report their names. Xiaoming only knew that this person's surname was Wang and he was the senior brother of the group of Mushroom Hall disciples. And these 3 people were not the leaders. It seems that the matter is not small, and all parties have sent more heavyweight figures. Seeing Xiaoming enter the room, Hong Chao waved, and Xiaoming came to her and listened to her introduce several responsible persons to him. Xiaoming, come and meet some seniors. This is Cherry, the leader of Mushroom Hall, this is Senior Li Hong, this is Senior Duzi. The strength of these 3 is not bad. They are all in the state of working hard to reach B level from C level. They are indeed seniors to Xiaoming, and they are older and more experienced than Xiaoming. If Xiaoming's time in the reincarnation world is counted, everyone is roughly the same age. Maybe Xiaoming is a little older. But Xiaoming will definitely not say this. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1106. Cherry Helmsman is obviously a code name, or a job title within Mushroom Hall. Xiaoming knows that in the Plants vs. Zombies system, a kind of cherry bomb will be produced. It is quite powerful. This person is probably a master of using cherry bombs. Frequent use of bombs will also have side effects. This middle-aged man has an obvious burn mark on his forehead and on the back of his right hand. Seeing these scars, this person inexplicably gives people a sense of trust. Scars are the medals of a man. The other 2 families already knew about what Mushroom Hall was asking for this time. However, seeing Zhang Xiaoming coming, Cherry Helmsman was very considerate and took the trouble to start from the beginning. Mr. Zhang, it is an honor to meet you. This time, I am disturbing you presumptuously to ask you to contribute to justice in the world. Keep the right and ward off evil. People did not despise Xiaoming because of his teenage image. A person in his 40s can have this face, and he must have had an adventure in the reincarnation space. Don't underestimate it. What? Xiaoming was stunned when he heard it. How did this even involve human justice? That's too much. Cherry explained, it's like this. Recently, Mushroom Hall discovered a secret cave in Mount Fuji. There are zombies in it. It was temporarily sealed by Mushroom Hall with a barrier. But this is not a solution. The zombies inside are getting stronger. Once the barrier is broken, it will cause a great disaster to ordinary people in the surrounding areas. It's not too late to eliminate them now. Xiaoming was very surprised. He pointed at the people around him and asked. Just these people? Everyone is not at level B yet, right? What can we do? Shouldn't we ask Sister Hong Chao to go? Xiaoming's actual combat power is above level A, so why can he still say that? Of course, it's because the current Silver Xiaoming is indeed only at level C. When playing on Pandora, Dragon Palace gave Xiaoming a living device in the shape of an insect that suppresses combat power. Later, the Insect King Green Xiaoming swallowed it and analyzed it. The structure of that device is very simple. Xiaoming can now produce it at will, just like an organ. This kind of organ that suppresses combat power was born inside the bodies of the 4 Xiaomings. Xiaoming can adjust it with his mind. He can control the combat power he can output at will. Yin Xiaoming suppressed his combat power to be level when he came here this time. No one can tell that he is pretending to be C level at this moment. His doubt makes sense. Why not invite A-level masters? Why not invite a few C-level masters and bring a group of D-level reincarnations to join in the fun? What if a few of them die? Hong Chao smiled and said nothing when he heard it. He just shook his head gently. Cherry Helmsman hurriedly explained, I really can't afford A-level masters. And there is no need. We low-level people should exercise more. Strive to upgrade as soon as possible, right? The last sentence, right or not, was said by Cherry Helmsman to others. The leaders of the other 2 families, Li Hong and Duzi, both nodded in agreement. Xiaoming thought about it carefully and realized that he was wrong. This principle is the same as the training of doctors in hospitals. Of course, it is safest for patients to find the best doctors to treat them. But if every patient is like that, young doctors won't get training and it will be difficult for them to grow. When the best doctors get old, won't there be no successors? Besides, if everyone goes to the best doctors for treatment, they can't see enough. So hospitals use different registration fees to distinguish different doctors. If the disease is not serious, there is no need to find the best doctor. The same principle applies to things like subduing demons and monsters. Doctors have registration fees, and masters also have appearance fees. Even if you invite A-level masters and do nothing, you can't be stingy with the money. Although the higher the rank of the masters, the longer they live. But the top masters alone are not enough to deal with all problems. For general matters, the masters and elders will make an assessment, and then send similar people to deal with them so that they can get training. If they can't handle it, it's not too late for the masters to come forward. In this way, it is inevitable that some people will sacrifice because of inaccurate assessments. But overall, this method is the most appropriate. It is worth sacrificing. Besides, the League of Legends will not force anyone to go, it is completely voluntary. Those who have no confidence in themselves or are afraid of it, don't have to go. After evaluating the zombie cave incident reported by Mushroom Hall, the League of Legends felt that it would be enough for a few C-level reincarnations to lead some D-level juniors. In addition, this incident was reported to the Northern Branch instead of being solved by the Eastern Branch because of the word zombie. The evil creatures that caused the trouble this time were zombies, but not all zombies are evil. Zhang Shizu Hung Chao's lineage is the good zombie in the system. The Eastern Branch handed over the zombie-related incidents to the Northern Branch's Hong Chao to handle, also to take care of Zhang Shizu's lineage. In the game, the system gives players special abilities to roughly see the opponent's rank. This is for the fun of the game. but in the real world, most people do not have the ability to see through other people's fighting power. Ordinary people can only see clearly those who are much worse than themselves. Some can see clearly those who have the same power as themselves. For example, a magician can easily see another magician, but if a ninja comes, he may not recognize it. In addition, it is also difficult to distinguish people who are at the same level as you or slightly inferior to you from the surface. And those who are stronger than themselves are in even more trouble. You can't see the other party's true strength at all. Some masters can suppress their performance in the eyes of others, and even reach the state of returning to nature. No matter how you look at it, he is just an ordinary person. Once you fight, you will know that the other person is a top expert. Trapping people to death will not pay for their lives. Xiaoming is able to judge the strength of most people, firstly because he possesses source energy, secondly, because of his super strong mental power and the help of the advanced Zerg skills. Even the Crimson Tide doesn't know exactly how strong Zhang Xiaoming is. I don't blame her for this. Now even Zhang Shizu may not be able to accurately judge Xiaoming's combat power. Although they don't know much about Xiaoming's strength, Hong Chao knows that Zhang Xiaoming is at least B-level because they interact with each other a lot, so it shouldn't be a problem to do this kind of task. Mushroom Hall also means the same thing. Their suggestions can be said to be a temptation or a challenge. The last time Xiaoming slapped Mogutang in the face, Mogutang must regain this face. As long as you take the initiative to challenge once, you won't be called a coward even if you lose. The reason why he took up the challenge so late was because of Xiaoming. Because of Mushroom Hall's trump card, the Plants vs. Zombies system is gone. Of course they didn't know that his family's system was called Lushu and had been abducted by Xiaoming. It's just that such a big thing happened, and they didn't have time to take into account the little friction in the past. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1107. Since the Plants vs. Zombies system, Mushroom Hall has not had a good time. They have a long-term project. That is to cultivate an A-level or even S-level zombie. The zombies in the Plants vs. Zombies system that Mushroom Hall could buy before were only level 5 C-level zombies. There are no higher levels. Zombies of this level cannot be said to be useless, but their usefulness is very limited. If you want to stand out among many forces, you still have to rely on high-end combat power. Mushroom Hall came up with a stupid way and found a deep cave in Mount Fuji in Japan. Use this as a culture dish. Thousands of zombies of various kinds were put into the cave, and there were also zombies refined by certain sects bought from the black market. They used evil secrets to make them fight and devour each other, in order to cultivate very powerful zombies. For this reason, they also sacrificed various animals and even humans in the cave. Mushroom Hall is also a sect of China, so the humans sacrificed are all black or white. They dare not and do not want to use Chinese people. There are a few disciples of Mushroom Hall who took the initiative to participate in the sacrifice. Their goal is to live and become the last strongest zombie. These disciples may only be cannon fodder for their whole lives through normal cultivation. If they can become zombies above level A, they will have weight in the entire Pangu star. Some people really dare to take this chance. After more than 100 years of cultivation, tens of thousands of system zombies and various resources have been added one after another. Recently, this matter has finally made some progress. It is estimated that the first level a zombie will be produced after another 100 or 80 years of cultivation. Unexpectedly, at such a critical moment, Lu Shu ran away, shaking Mushroom Hall. So seriously speaking, this matter is still Xiaoming's fault. How can we continue to cultivate without new zombies? Rely on trading with other sects to buy zombies to add to it? It's not realistic at all. With the financial resources of Mushroom Hall, it can't support the consumption of 100 or 80 years. Therefore, the head of Mushroom Hall made a prompt decision. This project was stopped. Although, Mushroom Hall still has a lot of zombie props in reserve, and with strong financial resources, it can buy a lot, which can support it for 30 to 50 years. What if the project succeeds in another 30 to 50 years? No one can say about luck. But the Hall Master didn't want to gamble, he decided to give up immediately. He also took the opportunity to set up a game. This cave where zombies are cultivated can be completely cleaned up by Mushroom Hall with its own power. The advantage of cleaning it yourself is that you have clean hands and feet and no future troubles. This kind of evil secret method of cultivating zombies will not be discovered. However, the Hall Master chose to open it, which can be said to kill several birds with one stone. First of all, the zombie cave will not expose its own secrets, because Mushroom Hall only sells plant props to the outside world, and never sells zombie props. Outsiders will not associate plants with zombies. Some people may raise objections. The secret realms of the magic planets all come from the parallel world of the Earth. Are there no Plants vs. Zombies games in it? It's unreasonable. The actual situation is that there are indeed no, because Lu Shu of the Plants vs. Zombies system and the Nine-Tailed Fox, the mastermind of the Magic Planet, are in the same group. They are all optical computers of the interstellar human race. Their goals are the same, which is to collect high-quality energy and try to make other optical computers active again. Since Lu Shu relies on plant props and zombie props to make money, the Nine-Tailed Fox must skip this part when making games, so as not to destroy the rice bowl of its own brothers. Therefore, very few people know what Plants vs. Zombies is. Mushroom Hall has clean hands and feet. Secondly, if multiple forces are used to clean up the zombie cave, the resources consumed by the family will be less. As for the spoils here, Mushroom Hall is really not rare. At the same time, if Mushroom Hall does this kind of upholding the right and warding off evil thing with great fanfare, its reputation will be better. This is also the impression that Mushroom Hall has always wanted to leave to the world a righteous monk. After the conflict with Jiang Xiaoming, Mushroom Hall, which is still quite powerful, quickly found out about Jiang Xiaoming's personal situation, as well as his forces and allies on Pangu Star. Of course, Mushroom Hall cannot find the Yanhuang 3-star system and Chenin. Not to mention the Zerg, Protoss, and Yu Yu Hakusho's private world. But even if it's just the Li family, the Xiang family, and Zhang Shizu's lineage, this is not something that Mushroom Hall can provoke. They are worried about not being able to regain their face. The zombie cave incident this time provides the most suitable opportunity. On the surface, it seems that Mushroom Hall is challenging Jiang Xiaoming, and in this incident, it is a competition to see who has made greater contributions. In fact, it is a multi-party cooperation to do the right thing, which has eased the relationship between the two sides. As for the result of winning or losing, it doesn't matter at all. It doesn't matter if you lose, anyway, you won't lose face after the challenge. If you win, you can earn more reputation. Besides, Mushroom Hall still feels that it has a great chance of winning. Of course, they know more about the zombies in the cave. The last point is that Mushroom Hall took the initiative to hand over the zombie-related business to the zombies, and Zhang Shizu's lineage must remember this favor. There will be a chance to get close to them in the future. Maybe the relationship between the Li family and the Xiang family can be established, and then they can make a fortune. The fact that Mushroom Hall has developed to the point it is today shows that their leader is indeed not an ordinary person. Xiaoming reads some of the details from Cherry's mind. With more imagination, he can probably guess about 80% of it. In Xiaoming's opinion, the head of the Mushroom Hall is much more reliable than the head of the Xian family, Xian Ku. Xian Ku is still too much of a gambler. With good luck, he broke through to become an S-level expert. With bad luck, he almost lost himself. If he hadn't met Xiaoming's helper, he probably wouldn't have been able to pass this level. If he fell, the Xian family would at least regress by several decades. And the next head of the family, Xin Shui, is not as capable as his father. If Captain Xin Ku were to be the head of the Mushroom Hall, he would probably continue to gamble. He desperately maintained the zombie cave, hoping that he would be lucky enough to produce an A-level zombie within 50 years. Or that he would make a fortune within 50 years and be able to persist for another 50 years. As the saying goes, a journey of 100 miles begins with a single step. This zombie breeding plan will last for about 200 years, and it will be completed halfway at least by 180 years. In fact, the last 20 years are the most important and the time when problems are most likely to occur. It's only been more than 100 years now, so it can be said that the 8 characters haven't even started yet. Mushroom Hall simply cut the order and admitted defeat, and stopped the loss in time. This is the right choice. People like Xin Ku are unwilling to lose and gamble with all their strength. Even if they win, it is not a good thing. There is such a saying in the military that winning a war by chance is actually worse than losing. The fate of a country cannot be gambled easily, unless it is forced. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1108. This time, the 4 families worked together to wipe out the zombie cave, which was not a big deal. The masters sent by each family were all sent nearby. The Li family is based on spiritual power martial arts, but this Li family's collateral descendant Li Hong is a C-end level magician. Looking at the magic wand in his hand that looks like a band conductor's baton, you know that this person should major in magic in the world of the Harry Potter series. I have to say, it is quite practical. He led 4 D-level warriors of the Li family, including Datang Xiaoyun, to participate in this mission. The Dou family is a large family in the Chu state. Only a few people came to the new Han state. Dou Ji is older than Dou Kunfang, but in terms of seniority, he still has to call Dou Kunfang his aunt. The family system of the Chinese countries is relatively large. It is common to see a grandfather in a rocking chair and a grandson with a cane. No one makes fun of it. Dou Kunfang's ability system is a barrier master. Dou Ji is a C-level yin and yang master. It is also a profession that uses spiritual power to fight. Xiao Ming has heard of this profession. He can use some Taoist magic. The main combat is to manipulate spirits, monsters, and shikigami. It is quite unconventional. In addition to these 2 people, there are 2 D-level ninjas in the Dujia. It seems that they are not Naruto, and their combat power is limited. There are also 4 people from Mushroom Hall, led by Cherry Helmsman, all of whom are chi refiners. Among them, Cherry Helmsman is a cultivator in the foundation building period, and the others are still in the chi refining period. But looking at the strength of the Helmsman's spiritual power, it is not as deep as Xiao Jing. However, considering that they have a lot of plant props to use, their combat power should be okay. Among the 4 forces, only Xiao Ming came alone. No one asked Zhang Wen to come with him. However, everyone knows that he has excellent undead magic and can easily create dozens of skeleton soldiers, so no one is worried about him. Mushroom Hall is an outsider. They mainly dealt with the Japanese branch of the League of Legends before. In order not to embarrass herself in front of outsiders, Hong Chao reluctantly allocated a Quinjet and 2 pilots to participate in this operation. Before leaving, Sister Hong Chao desperately used her mental power to send a message to Xiaoming. That meant that no matter what happened, she must take good care of this fighter. In fact, this mission was completed in the cave. The fighter was used for transportation and there was almost no possibility of damage. Sister was also worried. Xiaoming had to suppress his smile and swore in the mental connection to complete the mission. On the way on the plane, Zhang Xiaoming, Li Hong, Duzi, and Cherry, the 4 leaders, gathered together to discuss tactics. Everyone was unfamiliar with each other, so it was impossible to set up a too complicated battle plan. It was basically a division of labor and cooperation model. In terms of logistics, Several leaders had space equipment, which was not too large and enough. People from different forces formed their own teams, a total of 4 groups of people. After entering the cave, everyone should try to stay together. Line up in a long snake formation and move forward. The first to meet the enemy is usually the head of the snake. Of course, the body and tail of the snake are not safe either, and they still need to be on guard. The battle in the cave is the most troublesome, and the enemy may not appear from anywhere. To be honest, the zombie cave is still good, at least there is no need to worry about other animals appearing, such as bats and spiders above the head, snakes, insects, rats and ants underground. There may have been some in the past, but they have been eaten by zombies for more than 100 years. Every time the team advances a distance, everyone changes order and takes turns to be the head of the snake. When encountering a fork in the road, you can consider dividing the troops depending on the situation. But try not to disperse. If you disperse, you will lack care for each other, which will easily give the enemy an opportunity to take advantage. Besides, one of the main purposes of doing tasks together is to see each other's methods. What's the point of seeing each other if you disperse? After the team leader's discussion, the team members have to discuss tactics separately, and Xiaoming seems a little lonely alone. Seeing this, Zhao Yun remembered the friendship between Miss Zhu and the leader, and came over to chat with Xiaoming first. Not long after, Dou Kunfang also came over. Xiaoming was taking up the post of ghost messenger, and these two people were not qualified to know about it. They were more relaxed when chatting. The Quinjet was very fast, and after a few words, they arrived at the mission site, a hidden area on the hillside of Mount Fuji. Mount Fuji is a scenic spot on the island of Japan, and many people come to visit almost every day. But the range of tourists' activities is limited, and some places where the terrain is not suitable cannot be passed by tourists. The location of the zombie cave, Mushroom Hall, naturally chose this kind of place. The Quinjet was hovering not far from the cave entrance. Everyone jumped down. The crowd lined up in a long snake formation according to the agreed order. The first one was the people of Mushroom Hall. They discovered the cave, and they were also half the landlords. Entering first showed that they had no ill intentions. Following closely behind was Xiaoming, who was challenged by Mushroom Hall after all. They fought and Xiaoming fought, so it was easier to calculate the results. Next is the Dou family. The Dou family members were sent by the Xiang family of Western Chu and are considered guests of the new Han Kingdom. They have some priority. Finally, the Li family. Although the roots of the Li family are in the new Tang Kingdom, this branch has been rooted in the new Han for a long time. Of course, they have to show the generosity of the host family. Besides, the Dou family and the Li family are just here to be witnesses and watch the battle. They are not involved in winning or losing, and there is no pressure. They will not steal the limelight. Deep in the cave entrance, there are 3 layers of barriers that allow entry but not exit. You should know that this kind of barrier is usually not set up close to the cave entrance, so that people can't see people moving inside from a distance. Curious, I walked to the nearby area and was shocked. Oh my god, there are zombies. Looking more carefully, the zombies were blocked by the barrier and couldn't get out. Next time, they might bring their families to watch the fun. So the barrier is set a little deeper. But it can't be too deep, and we must also consider the problem of frequent inspections. If the barrier is set too deep, it will be broken, and it will be too late for the outside world to know. This is also a science. If it is noon, the yang energy at the cave entrance is too strong, and zombies generally won't appear near the barrier. At this time, it was almost dusk, and some low-level zombies came to the barrier with iron cylinders or cones as obstacles. They don't have the strength to break through the barrier, so it's not worth worrying about. What's scary is the high-level zombies deep in the cave. Once those zombies come to the cave entrance, the barrier may not be able to stop them. But under normal circumstances, high-level zombies will not run out easily. The cave is filled with a lot of negative energy, and there is no shortage of food. Which zombie would run out of boredom? Only zombies above level B, who were originally human, may regain consciousness and some memories. They may not like living in the cave according to human habits, and then they will break out. This is also the danger of the zombie cave. Zombies above level B will appear in it sooner or later, and maybe now. In order to prevent it from happening, the League of Legends needs to eliminate the zombie cave in advance. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1109. It is definitely not very decent for Mushroom Hall to secretly cultivate zombies. On the surface, all forces do not allow it. But in fact, almost every major force will do similar things. These things are not very morally tenable, but they are practical needs and have to be done. At least all forces think so. Xiaoming had encountered Lan Dali, an A-level zombie that Zhang Shizu was secretly cultivating before, and the coffin is still stored in Guangmingding. Because the coffin leaked a small amount of yin qi, it also caused certain damage to the surrounding environment, creatures, and even humans. So Xiaoming is not easy to judge this kind of thing. Just because he has a better relationship with Zhang Shizu, he can't favor the zombie lineage. Since all major forces have done similar things, Xiaoming has no strength to interfere. Moreover, they are actually in control. Lan Dali's coffin only leaks a little yin qi, which will not really cause much harm. The zombie cave created by Mushroom Hall is the same. Even if there is a mess, they are confident that they can clean up the mess. Only in rare cases, some desperate forces will create a mess that they can't even clean up. However, with the situation of Pangustar being so many powerful people, basically nothing can't be settled. Only the force that caused the trouble needs to be held responsible. The specific price to pay depends on how big the incident is. In many cases, the entire force ends up being destroyed. Because once the power of the family declines, other forces will definitely add insult to injury. They are like vultures, waiting to share the corpse. Even if the crime was not punishable by death at the time, after the power was greatly reduced, few forces could turn the tide and rise again. Most of them were unable to recover and were oppressed by other forces until they were destroyed. For example, the Sheneng plan of the Shen family was almost played out. So the behavior of Mushroom Hall this time would not make Xiaoming have any big opinion of their character. Xiaoming is still very interested in understanding their fighting style. Not only Xiaoming, but also the Li family and the Dou family are interested. Even the reporter goddess Eva secretly ran out to record the video. With Eva's strength, she can completely make others invisible. Boom, 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 explosions came one after another. Cherry Captain was so reckless, and he threw cherry bombs with his hands. With his strength, he could throw them far away, and he didn't get close to the zombies at all. He just used bombs to blow the corpses to pieces. Mushroom Hall no longer has a system, and one cherry bomb is used up. I didn't expect them to be so tough. Could it be that the inventory is extremely sufficient and they are not afraid of waste? In fact, Cherry Captain had no choice. He was famous for violent bombing, and suddenly changing his fighting style would arouse suspicion. Besides, the Hall Master sent him here this time to show that Mushroom Hall is still normal in this way. Avoid being suspected of losing the golden finger. This kind of thing will be done once in a while in the future, and the Mushroom Hall headquarters needs to take this opportunity to transform. Of course, Cherry Captain will not be extravagant. He showed off a little, and in the name of training, he led 3 subordinates to fight the enemy. Each of the 4 of them took out a flower pot and held it in their hands, and planted 4 plants. The flower pots can be placed on the ground during the battle. From front to back, they are the nut wall, the big spray mushroom, the timid mushroom and the sun mushroom. A standard battle formation in a sunless environment. It is just suitable for the cave. Facing zombies, the props of the Plants vs Zombies system are all several times more effective. Not only is the attack power strong, but the nut wall is also stronger, and the zombies can't push it. Especially in the cave, there are always narrow places. A nut wall can almost block the road. Even if there is a little gap, the stupid zombies can't squeeze in. The people of the Mushroom Hall fought several games, and the routines were the same. It opened the eyes of people from other forces. In their fighting style, a narrow terrain is very important. Either use bombs to clear the way and rush to this terrain to garrison, and form a formation to kill zombies. Or slowly lead the zombies over and retreat to a good terrain for defense. Xiaoming carefully observed that every disciple of the Mushroom Hall has the ability to take out a second or even a third flower pot. At present, they are just too lazy to waste it. Once the situation requires, they have many other formations. They are really good at it. Half an hour later, it was Zhang Xiaoming's turn to lead the battle. Xiaoming is also good at playing. He took out 7 4th-level skeleton swordsmen who had been prepared long ago and set up the Tiangangbaidu formation. The formation was given to Xiaoming by the Li family, so there is no need to hide it. As for swordsmanship, the skeleton swordsmen have standard swordsmanship, which is straightforward. It is naturally not flexible enough to fight against martial arts masters, but it is enough to deal with these stupid zombies. The formation was set up by Xiaoming using chakra lines to control several skeleton soldiers. In fact, it can also be controlled by mental power. It's just more laborious. It's more convenient and practical to use the sand ninja to control puppets. Xiaoming's fighting style not only fooled several people from Mushroom Hall, but also shocked the Li family and the Dou family. As expected, a man should be treated with new eyes after 3 days of separation. The Li family's formation was just given to Xiaoming a few days ago, and Xiaoming can actually use skeleton soldiers to set up the formation. Awesome! I'm convinced. The skeleton soldiers who set up the Tiangangbaidu formation are really powerful. They cover each other and have no weaknesses. Wherever the sword light goes, it sweeps across the land, leaving broken corpses all over the ground. There is no problem that cannot be solved by one Tiangangbaidu formation. If there is, then set up 2 Tiangangbaidu formations. The Dou family plays differently. It turns out that although Duzi is an onmyoji, he also knows barrier techniques. After all, almost everyone in the Dou family knows barrier techniques. Just like almost everyone in the Uchiha family has the Sharingan. Duzi uses barrier techniques to create several barrier blocks to encircle the zombies without blocking our attack routes. Dou Kunfang and 2 ninjas use long weapons like the Blue Dragon Crescent Blade, slashing and slashing fiercely, which is quite safe. The results are not bad. His Imperial Spirits, Monsters, and Shikigami have no chance to appear. Only advanced methods are reserved for deterrence. The Li family plays well. Li Hong did not use too much magic. In addition to lighting, the most used one is Petrificus Totalis. The zombies move slowly to begin with, and they are even more motionless after being petrified. Zhao Yun and other warriors directly pick up their weapons to fight. Anyway, the enemy is powerless to resist, so it is still quite easy to kill. Their cooperation is excellent. If all zombies were petrified at once, it would be unrealistic and waste mana. Li Hong petrified the zombies that were close to him and let Zhao Yun and his team kill them. He petrified the zombies behind him and Zhao Yun and his team continued to kill them. Occasionally, when he saw his subordinates couldn't hold on, he would use more direct attack magic to smash one or even several zombies at once. In short, they had a smooth battle for the first few hours. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1110. If Xiaoming wants to solve the problem, he can send a large number of clones and mind beasts to sneak into the cave. Thoroughly clean the entire zombie cave. These people who came with me were not of high rank, and there would be no problem if I did anything in front of them. It's just that this matter is really not an urgent matter. Even if the zombie cave is left alone, there will be no trouble in 10 or 20 years. Even if high-level zombies appear in the future, how strong will they be? The end of Class A. How could Xiaoming be afraid of A-level zombies? Of course, he would never dare to say this kind of truth in front of Sister Hongqiao, an A-level zombie. At that time, a lot of troubles will turn into a few troubles. Wouldn't it be easier to deal with? In addition, if the zombie reaches level B or above, becoming intelligent is not necessarily a bad thing. If a reasonable zombie appears, it's still a good thing to save everything. Maybe we can discuss it with him and solve the problem. And this is also a situation that Mushroom Hall doesn't want to see. Cultivate a zombie with a brain, and Mushroom Hall's hands and feet may be exposed. Several other companies are not willing to gamble on such odds. Because the appearance of a high-level zombie is equivalent to a high-level talent. It may lead to competition among multiple forces. Zombies with brains and the possibility of becoming big bad guys are also afraid that the common people will not be able to bear it. Rather than having disputes among various families when the time comes, it is better to nip it in the bud to avoid future troubles. So when the League of Legends encounters something like this, it just eliminates it directly. Since the matter is not urgent, there is no need for Xiaoming to take it upon himself. It's like visiting a haunted house. In this zombie cave, the zombies do not cooperate with each other. Otherwise, with so many dozen people coming, they would not be opponents at all. Zombies regard each other as food reserves. All the previously living creatures in the cave have been eaten up long ago. With the infection of yin qi for hundreds of years, no living creatures can survive here. When zombies are hungry, they can only eat each other. After eating, everyone went about their own business. Rarely cliques. So, after Xiaoming and his party came in, only zombies that are close enough to smell a human scent or see a living person will take the initiative to rush over to prey. The other zombies were completely unmoved. This will facilitate the cleanup work. If it were like the game, where the zombies were all in one group, swarming up and cooperating with each other, then Xiaoming and the others would be in trouble. In the early days of clearing the caves, this phenomenon did not exist. But later, some signs gradually emerged. Zombies are also supernatural creatures. They use yin qi, the aura of death, to strengthen themselves. Most zombies use yin energy to enhance their physical properties, making themselves bigger, faster, and stronger. Only a very small number of zombies will strengthen their mental power. This can be regarded as a kind of mutation. Zombies with increased mental power usually have the ability to control other zombies. There is also the possibility of cooperation between them. So more or less, the cave gradually encountered the phenomenon of multiple zombies cooperating. In the beginning, this collaborative phenomenon was primitive. It's nothing more than sticking together when taking action. Can't afford any waves? Occasionally, zombies with strengthened mental power can use yin qi to perform some tricks they have figured out. Mostly useless. The intelligence of zombies is not very high, and they have no inheritance. They are just tricks that they have figured out by themselves. How do you think they can be stronger? But this is not absolute. Just like what appeared in front of Xiaoming now, a group of walking and dancing zombies were very powerful. Dance King Zombie is an advanced zombie that appears in the Plants vs. Zombies system. Xiaoming once did it, but then he gave up because it wasn't fun. In the original game, the Dance King Zombie has the ability to summon. He can summon 4 dancing zombies by taking a few steps and dancing. It is impossible for the system to provide zombies that can always summon zombies. If we keep calling like this, isn't it the end of the world? Therefore, the system modified the skill of the Dance King zombie from summoning to persuading surrender. When he dances, he will attract 4 nearby zombies to actively dance with him and become his subordinates. This is also a good skill. It's a pity that Xiaoming himself is more capable of recruiting zombies and doesn't need this superfluous ability. I can't even appreciate the dancing of King of Dance zombie. I haven't done much research on this kind of zombie. Now it's obvious that Mushroom Hall also placed Dance King zombies in the cave. Moreover, this zombie survived and its abilities have made great progress. I saw nearly 100 zombies in front of me, dancing thriller dance as they approached Xiaoming and his group. Everyone is not afraid, but they are a little confused. At this time, Xiaoming is taking the lead. He should take action to destroy these zombies. But Xiaoming was stunned and didn't move for a while. Captain Cherry was behind and said proactively, "Mr. Zhang, if you can't bear to do it, why don't I throw a few bombs over there?" Xiaoming rubbed his temples and said with a smile, "Well, it's not that I can't bear it, I just think, tisk, it would be a pity to kill him." This is what he means. Can control hundreds of zombies to dance in a neat formation. This is talent, a talent. It really feels like a pity to kill him. Xiaoming gritted his teeth. Anyway, his ability to recruit undead soldiers before the battle was demonstrated once on Nuwa planet. Although these people who came with him may not be informed, but the forces behind them must know. There is no need to hide it. In fact, the reason why Hong Chao agreed to let Xiaoming participate in this mission was because of Xiaoming's attainments in undead magic. He would definitely not suffer any loss in dealing with zombies. Xiaoming released his mental power to the group of zombies. In a blink of an eye, a total of 96 zombies, including the dancing zombie in the center of the team, stopped dancing and surrendered to Xiaoming. It just so happens that we can use zombies to control zombies. This army of dancing zombies immediately turned back collectively, dancing while moving forward, and set up a front for Xiaoming and others. They beat up any zombies they met along the way. Xiaoming didn't want them to dance. But he felt the deep desire in the heart of the dancing zombie. If he suppressed people's passion, Xiaoming himself would have a sense of déjà vu of a bad parent. Forget it, if he is so willing to dance, let him dance. It's not a big deal. Do you still want him to go to college? In order to protect them, Xiaoming's Tiangang Baidu skeleton sword formation also mixed into the team. They can also help to clean up the enemy when they encounter it. This time, there is no need to rotate. Since there is a large army of zombies to clear the way, there is no reason for humans to continue to take risks. Everyone simply gathered together and followed our zombie team, watching the excitement all the way forward. Apart from anything else, this team of zombies will help Xiaoming improve his grades. This time, Xiaoming is sure to win.